Whether you read or hear this, in the next few minutes we should all become babies again. Because we say children are so honest, free in their imagination and still without understanding the expectations of our system. We all want to be children again, without responsibility and with the freedom we convince ourselves we have. But we press babies into molds, and when they are old enough to recognize these systems, we use all our power to take away their ability to imagine. We know our roles, which are defined within a system we never chose. How can we ever define our autonomous free form when we need our roles to survive? I have come to the conclusion that a baby comes closest to this freedom. So please, embark on this journey. When the baby wants to explore, it learns to walk, and when the baby is afraid, it learns to run.
Several utensils and baking components are prepared on the metal unit.
But the babies also learn that they should not run as fast as other babies.
Ingredients are mixed in a bowl.
They should walk carefully instead, and if they were not fast enough in the event of a forest fire, at least the babies had pretty braided pigtails with cute little bows. The baby learns quickly to braid their own hair.
First, a block of butter is broken into pieces.
So the baby gets such nimble and fast hands and can do a 4-strand braid in record time and finally gets a compliment.
Second, sugar is mixed in.
After all, the baby was a little bit ugly before.
Third, flour is mixed in.
And the baby's hands become bigger over time and never forget which strand to grab with which finger.
Fourth, milk is poured in.
When the baby is hungry, it learns to cook. And when the baby is full, it learns to bake a cake. And quietly and secretly, the baby becomes an incredibly talented baker. But sadly, the baby dies in the next forest fire.
The mixture is kneaded.
And the baby gets older and becomes more angry.
The dough swells between fingers and becomes increasingly uniform.
I would like to file a lawsuit, Your Honor.
The dough remains sticky.
I would now like to be angry in peace.
The dough pulls strands.
After all, it wasn't easy to learn this art. And now that I know you can hit pretty hard with a mixing spoon, I would like to give the audience a little instruction on how they can bake a great cake.
The body starts moving.
It's important that you definitely don't need 200 grams of politeness, especially if you don't know your customers at all, even if they pay you money for your cake.
The dough is smeared on clothing and in hair.
Be sure to add plenty of baking powder so that it rises well and becomes very, very large. It's also particularly important to always mix in a pinch of cheekiness and not let anyone convince you that it was too much. Of course, you should be mindful of allergies and don't skimp on the sugar. So if you follow this recipe, you really shouldn't give a damn whether your cake turned out pretty or not, because you can sprinkle powdered sugar on everything anyway.
Movement calms down.
Then one day, when you stand in front of a judge and say,
I would like to file a lawsuit, Your Honor.
What would you like to file a lawsuit against?
Throw the cake in his face and don't be afraid to laugh.
Let me make one last comment on the recipe and the recommended methods. Don't stick to any numbers. They're all made up anyway. The principle of tasting and using your best judgment should be enough to mix all the ingredients for the best cake in the world.
Have fun baking the best cake in the world ever. And don't forget that this isn't a cake baking contest, so take your time.
And the baby gets older and becomes more angry and calls their friends. We need an assembly. Together they learn to write. I always dream in deep shades of blue. When I go to bed, my anger haunts me, and I find it difficult to escape this haunt.
This anger remains silent. It's not a rage, not physically strong. It has no form of danger. It is what drives everything.
I remember being scared about it.
I think it's unfair that I'm supposed to carry so much empathy inside me.
I want to be carried too.
Take up space. Yes.
Take your left hand in my right and the other in the other.
Create a different basis for discussion.
I am interrupted, and they
And you
are interrupted, and we all remain misunderstood.
I
I got taught to understand myself how the patriarchy understands me. Do I know the person I would see if I understand myself without it?
the things I have learned. Who do they benefit?
In my diary I wrote, if I were him, I would have asked how I've been 1,000 times from now.
But I don't expect this from him because he's a man.
And of that I am jealous. I would love being able to piss standing.
I am uncomfortable.
And complicated.
I annoy you.
I disturb you. I don't get out of your way. I am too loud for you. You don't like me.
I am.
That's not proper. In case you forgot, a few minutes ago, the baby threw a cake into a judge's face. Sadly, the judge did not find it funny, and the baby is now in prison for its act of throwing a cake.
Standing in a mess of dough and utensils.
In prison, the baby wrote a text. Today I baked a cake, and I followed this recipe. It said you should bake a cake. It can have any flavor in the world, but best it should have some lemon. So I did that with pure joy. Next step in the recipe was a question. When was the last time you were angry? I remember the judge and the way he did not listen. I drizzled even more lemon on the cake. I knew I would throw the cake into his face, and so I did. A week later, the baby is free again, and the baby meets the other babies. Come back to the kitchen. We're having an assembly.